Welcome to the Wellbeing Podcast, where every episode is a step towards a healthier, happier you. Let's grow, thrive, and shine together. Don't forget to subscribe and like the Wellbeing Podcast. Share your thoughts, and let us know in the comments what topics you'd love to hear about in future episodes. All right, buckle up, because today we're taking a deep dive into the world of love languages. You've shared some sources with us, and it looks like you're really trying to crack the code of how people give and receive love. We've got excerpts from a well-known book on the topic, some interesting research articles, even a glimpse into how love languages show up across different cultures.
What I find fascinating is how this concept, which seems so simple at first glance, can actually unlock a much deeper understanding of our relationships. It's not just about romance either. This impacts how we connect with friends, family, even colleagues.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us have had those moments where we're trying to show love, but it just doesn't seem to be landing right. It's like we're speaking different languages.
Precisely. And that's where this idea of a love tank comes in. It's like we each have this emotional reservoir that needs to be filled in a specific way. If it's running low, we feel unloved, insecure, maybe even resentful. But when it's full, we're energized, secure, and ready to give back.
So how do we figure out the right way to fill each other's tanks?
That's where those 5 love languages come in. Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service. Then physical touch. They represent the different channels through which people feel most loved and appreciated.
Let's start with words of affirmation. This one seems pretty straightforward. Some people just light up when they hear compliments, encouraging words, or expressions of affection.
It goes beyond just flattery, though. It's about genuine appreciation expressed through language. Think heartfelt compliments, words of encouragement, even those simple I love yous. For someone whose primary language is words of affirmation, those words are like gold. They create a sense of being seen, understood, and valued.
And I can see how over time, those words can build someone up and really strengthen the foundation of a relationship.
Absolutely. And the source material we have here highlights some compelling examples of this. There's a story about a couple where the husband worked tirelessly to provide for his family, but his wife still felt unloved. It wasn't that he didn't care, he just wasn't speaking her language.
He was expressing love through actions, but she craved those verbal affirmations.
Yeah.
So even with the best intentions, they were missing each other.
Exactly. And that misalignment can create a lot of friction, especially in long-term relationships. It's like trying to build a house with the wrong tools.
Okay, so words of affirmation are all about expressing love verbally. What about quality time? This one seems to be about being present with someone, but it's probably more nuanced than just being in the same room, right?
You hit the nail on the head. It's about giving someone your undivided attention. Think meaningful conversations where you're truly listening, engaging in shared activities, and creating those moments of genuine connection. Scrolling through your phone while someone is trying to talk to you, that definitely doesn't count as quality time.
I think we've all been on both sides of that scenario. So it's about prioritizing connection over distraction.
And the research really backs this up. One study we have here, which focused on marital satisfaction, found that couples who struggled with quality time as a love language reported higher levels of dissatisfaction in their relationship. They often felt neglected and unimportant, even if their partner was physically present.
So even if you're spending time together, if it's not quality time, it can actually be damaging to the relationship.
Precisely. And that's why it's so important to understand these nuances. It's not just about being together, it's about being present together.
Okay, on to the next love language. Receiving gifts. I feel like this one sometimes gets a bad rap for being materialistic, but I'm guessing it's more about the thought behind the gift than the gift itself.
You're absolutely right. It's not about the monetary value. It's about the tangible symbol of love and thoughtfulness. A small, carefully chosen gift that shows you are paying attention to someone's interests or needs can be incredibly powerful.
It's like saying, I see you, I was thinking of you, and I wanted to bring you joy.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that, according to one of our sources, gift giving as an expression of love is actually a universal behavior found across cultures. It seems to be deeply ingrained in our human nature.
That's amazing. So it's not just a modern construct, it's something that's been a part of the human experience for centuries.
It seems so. And it doesn't have to be elaborate or expensive. A simple wildflower, a handwritten note, a small token of appreciation. These can all speak volumes to someone whose love language is receiving gifts.
It's about that tangible reminder that you care. Speaking of tangible expressions of love, let's move on to acts of service. This one seems pretty straightforward. Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. For someone whose primary love language is acts of service, those small acts of kindness, doing the dishes, running errands, helping with a project, are incredibly meaningful. It's a way of saying, I love you through your actions.
And I can see how for some people those actions might feel even more genuine than words.
Absolutely. And there's a story in the book about a couple who constantly argued, even though they were both trying to show love. It turned out that their primary love language was acts of service, but they were expressing it in ways the other person wasn't fully recognizing.
So they were both speaking the same language, but they were using different dialects.
Exactly. And once they figured that out, it completely transformed their dynamic. They started noticing and appreciating each other's efforts, and the arguments subsided.
It's like they finally found that common ground, that shared language of love.
Precisely. And this highlights the importance of not just understanding your own love language, but also the love language of those you care about.
Okay, we've covered 4 love languages so far. What's the last one?
The fifth love language is physical touch. This one is often misinterpreted as being solely about intimacy, but it encompasses a much broader range of physical expressions of love.
So it's not just about sexual touch. It's about all those other ways we express affection. Physically hugs, holding hands, a gentle touch on the arm.
Exactly. And for someone whose primary love language is physical touch, those gestures create a sense of closeness, security, and comfort. They're like little boosts of love and reassurance throughout the day.
And I think that's something we often overlook in our busy lives.
Yeah.
Those small moments of physical connection can actually have a huge impact on our well-being.
Absolutely. And the research on early childhood development shows that physical touch is crucial for healthy emotional and social development. It seems to be a fundamental human need, not just something that's nice to have.
So even from a very young age, we're wired to crave and respond to physical touch. It's how we connect, how we communicate, and how we build trust.
Precisely. And as we grow older, those needs don't disappear. They might evolve and manifest in different ways, but that desire for physical connection remains.
This is also fascinating, but I'm wondering, how do we actually figure out our own love language and the love languages of the people in our lives?
That's a great question. And it's one we'll delve into more deeply in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.